I work as investment manager and head of sustainability at Mikoya. So we're a food tech VC. We invest only in food tech, based out of Stockholm, but we invest internationally, but primarily in Europe and in the US. And at Mikoya, we of course look at a lot of different investment opportunities. We deal with our current investment holdings, and we work a lot with insights and data on how we can accelerate our businesses. And I thought I'd share with you here today 3 common myths that we see companies and investors fall for when it comes to food tech. There are, of course, a lot more insights out there, but today we're going to focus on these 3. Okay, do I know how this works? Yes. Product innovation leads to food transformation. So this is myth number 1, and the common myth we have seen is that there's an overconfidence in the product themselves. And there's a huge focus on developing new products. And this is of course important, but maybe not as important as many companies think. And as a result of this overconfidence in products, as many as 80% of all new food innovations fail within 12 months. That's a lot of resources going down the drain. A lot of wasted energy, time, money. So what is it that companies are missing? Well, it's the consumers. It's not the product that drives food tech development, it's the consumer. And it's actually a pretty unfair game. You can have the best product in the world with all the right characteristics, solving all the problems out there, but that is not enough. To win in the market, you have to win the consumers. They have to find that your product is the best. And as such, it's the consumers that lead the food transformation. An example of this is Oatly, that I think many of you know about. It's a Swedish oat dairy brand with a revenue of $800 million and listed at the New York Nasdaq Stock Exchange. What maybe fewer know is that this brand, Oatly, existed already for 15 years before it became known as what it is today. And as you can see, it had a different a visual at the time, but it was also found in the allergy section of the retail stores. And it wasn't until Oatly was repositioned with the brand with a relevant driver, in this case, environmental impact. And they made it into a lifestyle brand rather than a product brand. And that's when the business started to take off. So Oatly started to sell, instead of oat-based milk, they started to sell a belonging to a lifestyle. Another example of this, which is more closer to our hearts, is Nix. So Nix is one of the first investments that we've done at Mikoya. We came in when it was doing around €1 million in revenue, and today we have a company that's turning over 70 million euros. And it was founded by a guy, Nick, who was diagnosed with prediabetes. And the doctor told him that, hey, you have to stop eating all the good stuff. You have to stop eating ice cream and chocolate. And luckily, he was a food scientist, so he said, no way, I'm gonna develop products that I can eat. And they did, and they tasted great. We thought, okay, let's see what we can do with this. And at first, we were very inspired by Oatly. And we took a rebellious stand to take on the fight on sugar. And yeah, in the example here, it says, dear sugar, maybe I should stand here actually. Dear sugar industry, eat this. And, but it didn't fly. And we realized we had to make a change into the brand. This doesn't work. And we had to go back to the drawing table and get into what is it that consumers truly want when buying ice cream and chocolate. We had already known that joy and taste is very important, but we hadn't realized how important that is, even for a sugar-free ice cream and chocolate brand. That taste and joy has to come first. So this led us to repositioning the brand around the insight just for the joy of it. Try this ice cream just for the joy of it. Eat this chocolate just for the joy of it. And that made the business take off. So the lesson here is that you can have the latest and greatest product, but if you can't position it right, know who your audience is and what drives them to buy that product, your chances of success are much smaller. Okay, myth number 2. And this is something we hear a lot from all different angles, that it is the young and progressive urbans that are driving the plant-based shift. We live in some sort of belief that it's the younger generation that are fighting for the environment. Think of Greta Thunberg and Fridays for Future. That they are the progressive ones, they're making demands, and are behind the large establishment of plant-based foods that we're seeing in the recent years. However, the truth is that, first of all, if you look at age, that is rather irrelevant. The adoption of flexitarian diet is happening across all age groups. And the largest group eating a completely vegetarian or vegan diet are people over 50. And the group where we see plant-based food growing the fastest is among middle-aged men. And although from a lower base, but really we see the shift is happening across all age groups. So age is rather irrelevant. Looking at the gender, it's perhaps a little bit more interesting. We see that women consume more plant-based foods than men still, but at the same time the category is growing faster among men. Interestingly though, there are differences in why men and women choose to eat plant-based foods. So women tend to do it more for environmental reasons, whereas men do it more for health reasons. But still, this insight is pretty flat. Where it starts to get interesting is when you look at people by their values instead. So put demographics behind, and instead divide consumers based on their attitude to life, to the environment, to food. Because it's actually our values that drive our consumer behavior, much more so than demographics do. And to illustrate this, think of a consumer group, a very typical one that we hear. It's female in the age group of 20 to 40 years old, active on social media, and cares about gender equality. So do you have someone in mind? Do you think this could be a good description? If you look at the pictures here on the screen, we have 4 women. They're roughly in the same age group. They're vocal and seen on in different media channels, and they care about women's rights. And but they're also very, very different. And they probably look at food in different ways and want different things out of it. They think different things are important, and thereby they choose different brands, they buy different products, and they shop at different places. And so for those of you who don't know who these guys are, so we have Emma Watson, so Hermione in Harry Potter. We have Kylie Jenner. I don't know who of the Kardashians she is, but she's one of them. And then we have Meghan Markle. And then, of course, we have to put the Finn in here. So this is Krista Permarkowski. She's a world-class Finnish country skier and a 5-time Olympic medalist. So that was just on a side note, but now you know that. The point here is really that you have to understand your target group. And you have to put demographics aside, age, gender, and where they live. And instead, get under their skin and understand what's important to them. What are their drivers and values? Okay, last but not least, myth number 3. People think it's hard to know if a food product is healthy or not. A lot of companies focus on telling consumers what is healthy and want to educate consumers on what healthy food is. Repeatedly, however, surveys show that consumers are already quite good at this. We know what healthy food is. Most of us, we know that sweets are not the healthiest thing to eat on the way home from work or in the evening in front of the TV, and still we do it anyways. The challenge is to know how to eat healthy and doing so regularly. So is that hard? Yes, apparently. This is quite alarming figures actually if you think of them. In Sweden, more than half of all the adults are dissatisfied with their diet and wish they ate healthier than they currently do. About 1/3 say that one reason they don't eat as healthy as they would like to, despite knowing that it is good for you, is that they fall for the temptation when doing the groceries. You know, the very convenient chocolate stand right next to the checkout line. And just under half blame their busy lives. It's hard to find healthy options that fit into their everyday life. At work lunches, on the run, doing errands, with kids around, and so on. And so, what we as companies should do is to help the consumers. Rather than using sticks and telling them what not to do, we need to nudge people into making the right choices. Make it easier for consumers how to maintain a healthy diet and build healthy habits. And there can be many solutions to this, and we probably need a wide selection of solutions as we are different, and so we all want to have our preferred mix of them. And solutions is a wide range. It can be anything from sending healthy food straight to people's doorsteps and thereby avoiding temptations in the store. It can be more appropriate pack sizes to encourage the right amount of consumption, or labels that quickly guide us to make the healthy decisions in our busy lives. The same goes here, of course, for building green habits. A lot of us that are working in the food sector, we care both about health and the environment, or at least we usually care about one of them. But the same here really goes for green habits. People know that cutting down the Amazon to grow soy or raise cattle is bad, and the solutions here are the same. We need to offer sustainable food in formats and channels that are easy to access, choose, and consume in our everyday lives. So it's not that we need solutions to educate consumers to make the right choices. We rather need solutions that make it easier for consumers to make the right choices. Okay, to summarize what we've been talking about here is that we need to put data and facts before myths. And by that, we can build brands that give our outstanding products with all the right characteristics, solving all the problems, the right preconditions to win. So how we do that is that we first adapt a consumer-centric innovation approach and understand what your consumer wants and who they are. What are their drivers and values? Forget about demographics. With this understanding, you can develop your what. what is your brand's position? What should it be for the selected target group? And then you can develop your how. How are you going to make it easy for your consumers to reach your product? So these were 3 common myths that we see, here put in a B2C context. But of course, the same here goes if you're a B2B business and have a B2B product. First, you need to understand who is the buyer and the user of this product. What are their drivers and values? And maybe you don't tend to think of B2B customers with drivers and values, but really, what is that they want? And usually, it's much more than just price. It can be consistent quality, or reliable supply, or kick-ass customer service. There's a lot of things that are important for your customers. And then you need your what. What is your product and brand going to stand for? And in a B2B, maybe it's not as sassy as just for the joy of it, but it's definitely something that it's standing for. And then again, how do you make it easy? And I think this is maybe even more important for a B2B company, because a B2B customer tend to already have invested into an existing infrastructure. So then you need to sell a product that can easily be attached to that without having them to refit what they're doing too much. So with this, just one more time summarizing it, is to put data and facts before myths. So thank you so much for your attention, and please don't hesitate to catch me if you want to chat some more. And have a lovely day.